When you come to the Bitterroot Mountains, you have to make a conscious choice that this is something you're going to sink your teeth into. You have to be prepared for the Bitterroot Mountains. This place will test you. It'll push you. It'll change. The weather, the danger. You need to make a choice. Come here and experience that, you know, what it's like to be in the Bitterroot Mountains.
Stepping off the trail is what it's all about. You know, you're gonna test yourself walking from the car to the shitter? Geez, you know, I mean, come on.
So I'll show you what it's gonna be like. And I'll show you why most people can't make it. Ready?
This is steep, deep, dark, rugged. It'll test you. And I want you to come because I think you'll leave understanding, wow, you know, it's a whole different world up here.
You asked me earlier, what's my favorite part of this? Right now, playing the game.
Yeah, he's right here and he's coming. He's right here. Yeah. How far away do you think? Oh, 80, 90, 100 yards. You know what the hardest thing is knowing it's gonna come to an end. Knowing that you're gonna get old. It's knowing that someday this is gonna end. But I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it to end. Not now. Not yet. It's a bull elk. He's walking right towards us. I know. It's a bull elk. I know. Oh, there he is to your left.
Just have the greatest adventure that I've ever been on my entire life. I'm blessed. So blessed. Late last fall, we were sitting in the guide shack and the phone rang. Billy put it on speaker. On the other end of the phone, there was this kind of gruff, gritty kind of voice on the other end of the phone, and he goes, "Yeah, Billy, this is Dennis Brookshire from Bitterroot Mountain Outfitters. Wonder if you want to go on an elk hunt. Well, when's the dates?" And he told him the dates, and Billy says, "Well, unfortunately," he said, that'll be during my guiding season, and or at the tail end when I get home and want to see my family. So I'm sorry, Dennis. I really appreciate it, but I'm not gonna be able to go. But I got a guy sitting right next to me named Chris Anderson, and he'd love to go on an elk hunt." So when I was a young kid, hunting to me was all about killing things. And I think that's pretty normal as far as hunters go. Like, you just want to go out and kill things. Don't know what the appeal is, but there's something like an accomplishment.
Are you sad that Daddy's leaving?
A big game hunting adventure is like most things in life. It's not going to be what you expect. What you can't strategize, predict, plan, or envision is what makes it worth doing. The things you don't yet know, the experiences you haven't yet lived, and the people you haven't met are waiting for you. Hunting is much like reading the Bible. In it is so much truth, you can't take it all in one serving.
Ready to go to Idaho?
You can't take it all in a lifetime. But once you start, you can't help but come back to it.
All right, it's official. We just pulled out of the driveway, kissed Mama goodbye, and heading on an adventure. We've got probably about a 20-hour drive ahead of us, and and heading to St. Regis, Montana, where we're gonna meet up with an outfitter, and he's gonna take care of us over the course of the next week. Train us in, teach us all the things. It's gonna be weird being out of my neck of the woods. This is my country. This is my place where I hang my hat. Swamps as far as the eye can see, and just my playground here in Wisconsin. My best friend Jeremiah and I spent a lot of time here, and we love what we do. I was born and raised in a little rural town in northwestern Wisconsin. The name of the town's called Grantsburg. I was raised on a dairy farm, third generation dairy farm. My dad and his dad were all dairy farmers. And so I grew up, learning about hard work and also hard work. But no, it was the best upbringing that a kid can have, in my opinion. Yeah, in the moment when you're a kid, work sounds like work, but I mean, reflecting back on that today, it taught me an incredible amount of just life skills and things that I have taken with me throughout my life, and I've been able to use those things as meaningless as they seemed in the moment. They're now monumental in my life and what I do for a living, what I do at home, what my hobbies are. Yeah, I have zero regrets about the way that I was raised. Day 2, let's hit it. Take your tip. First mountain. It's getting real. They're so huge. Everything seems to have made the trip intact, so that's good. Now just kind of kicking back, gonna do a little reading, maybe a little writing, reflecting on the day, and yeah, just kind of wrapping my head around it yet. But I'm pretty confident tomorrow it's gonna feel real. One way or the other, it's gonna feel real, especially 7 miles into the mountains on a horse, when I haven't sat on one in years. So it's gonna be real whether I want it to be or not, but looking forward to it. Yep, slept like a baby last night.
Start your engines. We'll try that again. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Ah! You broke it! I'm excited to meet up with Dennis, our guide. I've never been on a guided hunt in my life. Yeah, I'm excited to learn and glean everything that I can from him about elk hunting in the mountains in general. I've never hunted elk in my life. I've never been up close to an elk. We made a stop to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation yesterday and walked up to a statue of an elk, and it was like, that's the closest I've ever been to an elk in my life, and like, we get to go and hunt them today. So yeah, just to glean as much as I can from that man that's been in the wilderness for the last 40 years chasing these things. I think he's going to be a boatload of information that we get to tap into, and there's something crazy and special about that. It's gonna get real. Well, that looks like an outfitter truck there.
Well, you get right into it, don't you?
You bet.
Yeah, I spilled my coffee on my crotch on the way down the mountain. The freaking road was bad. I mean, when you go up there, you'll go, oh my gosh. Then it was all over me like this, and I was like, so I'd take my pants off, put them on my dash, put the heater on there, and let it heat up. You know, I'm like, come on. So anyway, don't be staring at my crotch.
Spilled his coffee.
My name is Dennis Brookshire. I'm 66 years old. I was born in Elk, Washington, and funny enough is I didn't hunt. My dad was an alcoholic. He didn't take us hunting. I didn't go hunting. But yet there was always these times when Dad came home from hunting and he'd sit us all around and he'd tell these stories, and Mom would be sitting on his lap. And I remember how important it was for me to watch my mom and dad have that type of affection, you know, because we didn't see that very much. And he would sit Mom on his lap and he would talk about the elk hunting experience that he just got done. I got back 2 weeks from hunting with the Harpers down in the Blue Mountains of Washington, and look what I brought home. And he would sit there and all us kids would just sit around it. Wow, you know, that's my dad. But never took me into the mountains, taught me how to pack, nothing about horses. I mean, we had a horse, but yeah, it was like owning a cat. Big deal. You pet it and you rode it a few times. And, you know, so that probably sparked my interest because of the stories he told. And I just thought it was fascinating that he enjoyed it so much. I remember his smiles. My brother got killed in a car accident. He was 15. And my dad stopped hunting, and he gave me his hunting rifle. He said, I'm done. I just don't have nothing with it no more. I've lost my son. I want you to have my rifle. So he gave me his rifle, which I think I had never shot. And I bought a deer tag, and I went out with my brother-in-law, and I shot a deer and the first day in the wheat field. And, you know, I remember the next year, I remember watching whitetail jump out from underneath of me, and I just got intrigued with the fact that this was a real competition, you know, that it wasn't watching these guys drive up and down the road and shooting off the side of the road. It wasn't, that's not what it was. Tracking whitetail deer became my passion, and I just kept going at it like a sport. I wanted to get better and better and better at it. And of course, I got into mule deer hunting. I booked a guided hunt and with an outfitter on the Salmon River. And it took 3 years for me to go, and that turned into a big, huge adventure because the river was low. We were supposed to go up in a jet boat, and we couldn't. Ended up rafting in. I shot a deer. And the guy that saw me walk up this mountain, he called the guy I was working for, and he said, hey, is there a guy hunting with you right now, a Dennis? And he said, yeah, a couple weeks ago I dropped him off on the bottom of the river. And he says, well, this Fred Chavez was the foreman for a ranch in Idaho, and he said, you better hire that guy, because he walked from the bottom to the top, and he was standing up there by my pickup, and he showed me where his tent was. I think this guy could do you some good. And so Dave called me and hired me and 3 of my friends to ride line and keep trespassers off of his lease. And so that's how I got started in the actual, I wasn't guiding, but it's actually how I got the taste of it. I couldn't get enough of the roughness, and I think Adam, the kid that works for me right now, I think he's got that same bug, you know, it bit him. And bought this outfitting business in 2009, and my wife and I bought it, and we knew that we were going to buy this thing when we got the first call, and I thought this is going to happen. I had never dreamed in my life I'd become an Idaho outfitter. For most men, it's a pipe dream. This is something that I can do and make a living at, you know, and it's had its trials and tribulations. You just don't step into this thing. You know, you don't. You better have a background in a lot of stuff before you bite off being an outfitter up in any state at big game like this. This is not a high fence. This is, you know, big, rough, steep, deep. You either love it and you work through all those things, or you get out. Why did I reach out to Modern Day Mountain Man? Well, it's an odd question that you ask that because it's easy to answer. I thought that he had a very honest approach to his business. I've been watching him for years. I was struggling with some things in my business that he talked about on YouTube, that he talked about in his business, how he suffered from depression. And when I heard that, I was like, what? What? Billy Molls suffering from depression? Are you kidding me? The guy I'm watching on what? Could that possibly be something that I could go through? Is that why I'm struggling a little bit? I've been doing this a long time. How could I not get out of my truck up here and just love everything about this? What? There's something wrong. There was something I wanted to reach out to him so he could say, hey, I've been there, you know. And I did. I just picked up the phone one day and called and said, you know, I'm having some difficulties and can you help me? And he jumped all over it, you know, boom, yeah, returned my call. Nobody else in the outdoor world was offering that, you know, to me. Nobody else. I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I watched Billy and his dedication to the trade is what intrigued me. Because I could take that to my men and say, are you whining about sitting for 4 or 5 hours in the middle of nowhere looking over a valley? This man sat for 9 days, and that impressed me. And I saw him put his socks up frozen, and I've been to Alaska. I know how tough it is. And that like took it to the next level. I was like, man, this guy, he knows exactly how I feel when I'm standing in a rainstorm up here, when I'm standing in a snowstorm and I got guys to pack out and my pack string's giving me crap and it's pouring down rain. Oh, don't I love doing this, baby, you know? Why do you love doing this? Well, I guess I like pain, you know. It means I can have a shoulder to cry on that won't take it anywhere else, you know. It means so much to me when I see somebody like that understands your trials and your tribulations. It gives me strength in my spiritual beliefs. It gives me strength and hope. I think, wow, you know, I can get better, you know. If I'm struggling with something, I can get better. That's what it means to me.
Well, we're gonna make sure he can hit the target, which I think he can. So if he can hit a whitetail, I think he can shoot pretty good.
Just to the right, about 2 inches on that one.
Yeah, how do you guys like it here?
There's been a lot of like just standing and kind of like just pondering how mostly.
Okay.
I mean, it's big and it's different, you know. It's just different than anything we have around home, and
Yeah.
just trying to process that, like
Okay.
your new surroundings, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
We're looking forward to it.
cool.
Yeah.
So we'll most likely meet. We'll grab breakfast at Bedrock Camp, and then this is Horse Camp. Bedrock Camp is down the road, and then we'll head off for the trailhead and early in the morning, and walk in and hunt. So if we're using the horses, it's usually for back, a little more back country. So
Okay.
around for archery hunting, he's used horses a lot.
Yep.
But a lot of the trailheads aren't too far, so.
Gotcha.
And they're very walkable. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, sometimes.
Very walkable. We'll see what.
Well, the trails are walkable. We call it off-roading once you go off the trail. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm a hunter, an adventurer, and I'd like to fancy myself a storyteller. And I'm always looking for new places to explore and stories to tell. So if you're an outfitter or a hunter with a story to share, feel free to reach out to us. Whether you're looking to highlight your outfit, leave your legacy, share your testimony with the world, or all of the above, I've got guns, bows, cameras, and a crew that can write your book while you're living it. So just go to the description in this video, shoot us an email, and Lord willing, we'll meet you on the mountain someday.
Morning.
Morning. I've never slept with gloves on before. They get my hands warm.
Yeah, it's not exactly warm out. That's for sure. Let's do this.
Did you get new boots?
You betcha. This is the first time wearing them.
Crispies?
Look at his face.
Are those?
Yeah, these are Crispies. No, I broke them in all summer, so.
Oh no, they don't look new.
Yeah, just wanted to make him nervous. This idiot wore new
No,
boots to camp.
no.
No. Yeah,
No,
no,
they
they're nice.
They just look new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you wear them? Across the carpet? At home to the bathroom? Honey, look at these.
Once or twice just to show them
These
off.
are my
Look
new-
at them in the mirror.
These are my new Crispies, babe. I'm going elk hunting. I think I'm going to run outside and mow the lawn.
Riding in style. Yep.
What's the message there? You will die up here if you don't have good feet.
Oh, yeah.
You will die.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, outfitter's boots, professional guide.
Shows up pretty
Yeah.
on day one.
And you know, they leak and all the above, but man, like putting on a sock. Yeah, I got 2 pair, I just can't get rid of them. Yep.
Go up elk hunting. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna shoot some button. I know we're gonna see somebody down on the ground. Boy, I'm gonna hit it with an arrow and it's brown. It's down. Is that good?
I love it, man.
Oh, we're gonna have fun this week, guys. Kids are so detached. We had some kids in camp from Kansas, and their dad was a doctor. And they came up to us and went, "Hey, Dad, they took a 5-gallon bucket and they dipped it in the creek and they're using it in the tent to cook with." In the water, Dad, they bring the water up from the creek. And they couldn't believe it. They were like, wow. I was like, yeah. And then the light was kind of coming on. I'm like, yeah. If you can't wave your hand under it and water doesn't come out of it, they got no idea when the water comes out where the water comes from. When you're talking to young people and they're talking about tearing dams out, and you're talking about to young people that are in college that are 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, their whole life they've spent getting automatic water, automatic this, automatic that. Everything's push button. They have no real big picture idea that, you know, you ask most of them, where does electricity come from? They don't know it comes from water. They don't know that. Where does electricity come from? How do you think it's made? You think it just exists? They don't know. Well, it comes from water. Oh, no, that's not true. They don't get it. They don't, you know, so yeah, I always thought that. I thought, man, I'd take my horse trailer and just pull into one of them big schools and just unload my horse and just go walking in there and let them kids just touch him, you know, feed him, and yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Let's go. Let's go. lot of people my age have kind of given up on the youth. You know, they're like, oh, them kids, you know, blah 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 blah. I hate hearing that kind of crap. Because you know, you want to say, well, why don't you do something about it? You know, you sit around in a restaurant in the morning and have coffee and about the kids. I can't do it. Yeah, they got issues, but we created them. You know, you got to ask yourself, what are you going to leave? You know, do you ever ask yourself that?
Leave as in.
What are you going to leave?
Oh, what are you?
Yeah.
Are you gonna leave?
What are you going to leave? You know, I'd like to leave something. Maybe this horse trailer. No,
Yeah.
I'd like to leave something else. You know, I guess you talk about your legacy. What are you going to leave? You know, I want my daughter to stand up and say, you know, I went hunting with him. Not just my dad, but I'd like to take youths out and do this, you know. Do this right here. So I bought this area, and then the previous owner took me up here into the mountains up here, right here where we're standing, and he we walked in all the way in here. It was probably about 12 miles round trip, and came in the spring, and then he showed me where some of the bear baits were, but he took me in here and he stood up here and he showed me this massive big canyon, and I remember seeing it for the first time. It was like, you know, and this is like a fifth of what our area is. We have about 300 square miles, and it's rugged country, but the feeling was overwhelming, you know, because it's so big. I stood in the house when my wife told me, when I told her we were going to be outfitters in Idaho, big old, you know, I just cried. I just couldn't believe it. I was overwhelmed with happiness, you know. I told her, I said, you know, this is God given to us. You know, this is something that's, I feel that the hand of God is in this with us, and he gave this business to us and said, make this work. You know, I was in construction and not happy, and you know, everybody told me, wow, when we see you, they knew me in construction, and I was not a happy guy. And when I came up here and took this over, people would come to me and say, I don't even know you. You're like a different guy up there in the mountains. You know, who is that guy? Who's that guy over there, that happy guy, you know? Yeah, I've had some tough times up here. Sometimes when somebody could have gave me $10, I'd have sold this business to them. But for the most part, it's a good thing. I like it. I love it. Yeah. It's okay, boy. Yep. All one motion. Throw the leg around. There you go. Question of the day: how much did you pay for this?
So prior to this, I was an insurance agent. I did that for about 7 years, but I found out that I wasn't cut out for it. I was very good at it, I believe. There's a lot of things that I know that I went the extra mile that I know my competitors did not do. But I always took that burden of stress like that. It was always a burden on me to do those things because I'm a perfectionist. No, I'm not perfect at everything, but I'm a perfectionist, and like that stuff weighs so heavy on me, and it's personal. You know, I felt over the course of those 7 years in the business that I changed. Like I changed as a person during those years, in that I felt my stress level and my anxiety go through the roof, and that literally altered me as a person. And there's a lot of times during that I didn't recognize that. I know my family did. You know, we've had conversations since where, you know, my kids, my wife, you know, they're like, I'm so glad that you're done with that, Dad. Like you were a different person in a negative way, because I would bring it home. It wasn't a 9-to-5 job you could just walk away from and I'll pick up where I left off yesterday. It was always, the wheels were always constantly spinning, and that stress just eats you alive. I'm thankful. I'm so thankful in so many ways to just not be in that anymore. It was just toxic. Like you could feel it. Like I could feel it just pulse through my body. And it's lessened since I left a year and a half ago. But it's gonna take a long time to unwind that. But now, doing what I do, there's so much joy in my day and in my week. Like I'm living in an absolute dream world. Who gets to do the things that they dreamt of doing in an industry that they dreamt of being in a position that's, I mean, when I got hired on, there was I was employee number one, and it was me, and God selected me to fall into that role. And for me to be in it now, it's just every day. Like, yeah, there's struggles through everybody's job. Certain days, we all have them, everyone. But even on those days, like I just shake my head and like, is this even real that I have the opportunity to do what I do? And again, that stress is just, it's slowly, but it is melting away, if you will.
It's just absolutely unreal. I didn't anticipate this. I knew we were going to be in the mountains, but like, we're in the mountains. That's unreal.
Where they bed down all the time for years. And they got places in there where the ground's literally just, there's nothing will grow there because there's been elk there for so long. And they bed down on themselves, and you get that dirt and dust and stuff on them, and they lay in the urine, and they start stinking really bad, and they pee on their neck and on the patch on their belly. And they'll stink really bad when you shoot one and get one down. They're like, yeah.
What? I'm just still in awe that I'm here.
So we're sitting up here on this side hill, listening for bulls. And we're just looking over this vast expanse of wilderness. Like, it's incredibly wild. Like, this is a wild place. And I know that outside of this, the world is still turning. But like here in this moment, time is just absolutely standing still. It's incredible. Just to be away from it all and just soak this in.
Well, the nice thing is there ain't nobody else back here.
No.
And we can do this every day. Pick a new trail every day. Come in here every day.
This afternoon we came up off of a ridge that we've hunted for years, and heard some bulls down there like 3 days ago. Adam did. So we went down there today. It was warm, way into the 80s. Heard nothing. Ty took one of our clients up on top of the mountain and got into a bull. They just saw him and they seen a nice 5x5. So
They seen a bear and a bull, so yeah, sounds like they had a fun afternoon, and we're gonna get out and hit it tomorrow morning. Go do it.
The greatest lessons can't be taught, they have to be experienced. You know, I'm older, you know, I can't pack out the heavy loads that I used to, but my experience, my 25 years, I'm more valuable. I can find somebody that can schlep the heavy loads, right? But you can't replace that. And you can't hack that. And we live in this world where everybody wants a hack, right? They want to find a quicker, better way to do something. Yeah, that hack might help you now, but until you understand the foundational principles of that hack, it will never help you beyond that one instance. But once you know a business from the ground up, when you start digging the outhouse hole, and then you go and you start to, you know, you guide and you fly, and you know the business in your industry from the ground up, holy smokes. At that point, you're indispensable.
Morning. How's it going? The life of the outfitter. Okay, let's see what the weather's doing. Enough of that. Oh, yuck. Oh, come on. Give me a break. 84 degrees on Friday. Yeah, tomorrow's the coolest day. The low of 53 and the high of 71.
Dennis just saw a big bull across this valley.
Man, he's across the river over there on the hillside, obviously, and I don't know if he's laying down or if he just was walking down the hill a little bit alongside of that log, and then he just disappeared. Yeah, I just lost him. But I can tell you this, he looked like a 400 class bull. I mean, he had monster eye gouge like this, you know, just freaking, you can't kill that bull. Yeah, because you can't get him out. How are you going to get the mule in there?
You're not.
No. And it's 80-degree weather, you got one day.
Yeah.
So you'll hear outfitters talk about that. There's bulls that you'll see that you just can't go after them, you know,
Right.
because of the weather and because of how, you know, we know what it's like going through that timber. And to me and you to go up that hill, I mean, it's probably a mile from the bottom to where I seen that bull. It's probably a mile.
Right.
Maybe not that far, but it's a mile of crap. You know, I've been in there from the top down about halfway. And I've been in the bottom a lot. And I always look at the bottom and I go, man, these elk got a honey hole here because
How do you get to them?
yeah, and that ridge that comes down like this right here, that whole ridge right there is just tore up from elk when you get inside of it. It's just, you know, that's where they move. And they're there on that shady slope, and they're right above the river, and there's a creek over there, spring, and there's a spring in that draw. They don't got to go to the creek to get water.
Yeah, there's all that green feed
Yep.
makes the route. Yep.
Yep. So I guess one of the things I've learned is, yeah, that's a big bull, and you go over there, you might bump him, but just getting there is going to kill you. Just getting over there to him is just going to be, if I didn't know what the bottom of that canyon looked like, I couldn't tell you that, but I know what it looks like, the very bottom. You can hear that creek, river, whatever you want to call it down there. You got to cross that. Then the other side goes just mossy, just slippery, gucky for the first probably 100 yards, and then it starts to tip a little bit towards the mountain, and then it gets a little bit easier as you go, but that's why them big bulls are in there.
A good guide will always do some things differently than the layman. He's played the game a lot longer and knows it a lot better than you. He's felt the pain, foresees the dangers and long-term consequences. His methods are efficient and comprehensive. He's not focused on the now, but rather the hunt as a whole. But he's always casting seeds and diligently watching to see if any of them take root. To the novice, laziness and patience may look the same, but they're vastly contrary. One leads to death, the other leads to life. Discerning which is which takes time. It takes a lifetime of diligence and God's grace.
Pretty good throw.
No.
That was even better.
Oh, I was close, huh?
No dice?
He won't quit running.
You're within about 30 feet of that one.
That's pathetic.
It's about 8 years ago. I was single. It was probably a Friday night, Saturday night, and you know, I wasn't much of a bar goer. But I decided I had nothing better to do when there was a kind of a little music festival in our hometown. Bumped into an old classmate of mine. He was a couple of years older than me in school, and he was toting a couple of gals around on his arm, and you know, hey Chris, how are you? And he introduced me to, you know, these gals, and there was this pretty blonde gal standing next to him, and I remember the first thing she ever said to me, she goes, "I love redheads." And I thought, well, I'm in. That was easy. And so for the rest of the night, I talked to her. Her name was Allison. I said, hey, you want to take a walk? There's a little local lake called Memory Lake in our hometown, and we walked down Main Street, and we got back to the bar at the end of the night, and I said, well, it was great to meet you, and I left. I went home. And after that, we started to hang out a little bit, started to date a little bit. In pretty short order, I could see, you know, a potential for, like, there's a potential here. And I had been in many relationships up to that point. You know, some people have a relationship or two in their life. I had enough for all of their lives, and you know, I'm not proud of that. But what it did do, part of what it did do, other than bring me my son, was I believe it prepared me for her, for that meeting with her, so that when I saw her and we started to talk about life and goals and dreams, I had already figured out in my life all of those things that I wanted and what my life looked like and who I wanted in a spouse. Allison told me that she had a son of her own, and his name was Aiden, and our boys were less than a year apart. And so, you know, we played it safe because we didn't want to set our children up for hurt any more than they've already been hurt in their lives. And so we dated for probably 4 months before introducing our children, and you know, we wanted to make sure we had something before then. And over the next months and years, Aiden and I grew and grew our own bond. And no, I was not his father, but I was a father figure to him. I treated him as a son, you know, and Allison and I dated for 2 years before getting married. Because of my past or because of my history, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was waiting for things not to work because they don't work. My history told me like this isn't gonna work. Something happens. You do something that messes it up. They do something that messes it up, and she'll be gone. And so I played it safe for a long time just because I knew, I assumed that's what was gonna happen. And so I made her wait. I made her wait for probably 1.5 years. And so I thought, well, there's no better place to ask for her hand than in church. So there's a point during our service where we, you know, if the Holy Spirit's talking to anyone or they want to pray or there's a verse tugging on their hearts that, you know, there's a microphone that floats around and anyone can say whatever they have to say. And so I grabbed that microphone. It was the first and only time that I've done that, and had a verse in my head, and I had a ring in my pocket. And her family, I told them, I don't know if they knew, but I tried to get her entire family to church that day because it was important to me. I fell in love with her family, and I wanted to have that special moment with her whole family, you know, her brother and her sisters and parents, and none of them could come that day. And I thought, well, I'm not gonna wait. I can't wait anymore, so I was just gonna do it. And miraculously, every single one of her family showed up in church that day. I don't know what changed. I didn't tell them what was gonna happen. They were all there, and they were supposed to be there. And I grabbed that microphone and I said that verse. And it was about, you know, have not because you ask not. And so I said, well, I'm asking. And I got down on one knee in the aisle and asked her to marry me right in front of the whole church. And she said yes. And so we got married really shortly after that. I think it was only about 3-4 months after that we got married. And yeah, then we were, you know, we were a makeshift complete family, if you will. And our boys, you know, became best friends. And this is beautiful what God did with that, you know, my bad situation and her bad situation, and he took that and he redeemed that and put those broken pieces together perfectly. You know, if you think of a puzzle piece, neither of them are perfect, but when you put them together, it fits just the way it's supposed to.
You know, you're out here competing against a very smart animal, trying to do something, you know, we're trying to kill them. And I think half the time they know it, you know, so you're trying to make no mistakes, get the wind right, get your camo right, get the scent right, you know, do all the things and mark all the boxes. Make one mistake and the elk know it and you're done. So we're going up the trail this morning. We're gonna start not talking here pretty soon, and we're gonna start bugling. I want to catch the bulls on the other side of this ridge. I wish I could stay in healthy and good enough shape to just be an outfitter and a guide like forever sometimes, you know. Yeah, I love climbing up these mountains and sneaking up on elk. And Yep. Well, I'd like to pass my skills on to other people, other guides, you know. We've always been an outfitter. Like, we've built it from nothing to what it is today. And I guess that's what I'd like to see the business go to somebody that I knew would take care of it, you know. I'd like to leave it to my family, but my daughter and her husband, and then they're going to have grandkids, and they got kids, my grandkids, and it'd be cool to see them get interested in this, and you know. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, what's not to like? I mean, I have a lease on 300 square miles of land in the National Forest Service. Those permits someday have got to just be invaluable. You know, literally. I mean, someday these permits have just got to be something that people go, wow, you have one of those? You know, you're kidding me. You have the lease on the St. Joe River. Wow, that's cool. My life lesson would be, don't take this for granted. Be involved. Get involved in groups that believe in the same things that you do, and elect officials into positions that you believe will keep these kind of things moving forward. You know, like being able to do what we're doing. If the environmentalists have it the way they want it, they won't let you step off the trail. You know, literally. Stepping off the trail is what it's all about. You know, you know, test yourself walking from the car to the shitter. Jeez, you know, I mean, come on. Yeah, we went to Yellowstone Park and we hiked around on paved trails for 2 days. Yeah, really. Get off the trail. Get off the trail, man.
We were riding along the river and Dennis stopped us. And he ripped a bugle up into the mountains. And we waited and we listened, and all of a sudden, sure enough,
There's an elk.
dude,
Let's go. You can't tell me there ain't an elk in here.
That's so sweet. Yeah, that's the first one I've ever heard.
Finally!
Let's go find him. Let's go find him.
Fine. Now the big dog has to make all the decisions. See, the decision is, did it bounce off of this side? Was he over there? Maybe he's up, it's a long ways away. Maybe I should go let's keep riding. Should we tie up here? Go up, as you want. I'm gonna leave it up. So now we're gonna see if we move away from the river, we can hear better. The water's. So if we stand here for a while and don't yak too much, he might call back on his own. That's the premier, that's what we want. But because he was so distant, I need to know where he's at. If we're gonna hunt him, I need to know, is he on that ridge, maybe he's over here and he bugled in the sound, bounced off.
in my novice, inexperienced elk hunter heart, I was ready to dismount the horse, run across the river and go flying up to where we heard that bugle right then and there. Looked at Dennis, he looks at us. He says, all right, now what we do next is we go riding up here another couple miles. We're gonna stop and have coffee. It's like, dude, there's an elk right here. I mean, it's probably a mile and a half away, but like, let's go up the mountain and go kill that thing. And Dennis, in his experience, he says, that boy's gonna be there all day, bugling all day. We have nothing but time. Let's go have some coffee.
That bull sounded like he was a long ways away. As quiet as he's been, that might be all we get, you know, is one call. At least it tells us there's a bull here in this area. That's good news, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we had our cup of coffee. Got back on the horses, and we rode up this trail, headed back on the other side of the river, back to where we heard the bugle.
Well, the good thing is he's calling, and we can hunt him all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was no rush involved. I was going crazy, like, dude, what are we doing? Let's move it along here, or this thing's gonna be gone.
You got to be really patient. You know, because I'm experienced in this area, I know where he's at, and I know where the benches are. So now, when we launch off to go kill him, the biggest thing is the wind. If this current isn't perfect, if it's doing something that isn't perfect, we can't go. He'll smell us. So then we just got to change plans. So the closer we get to him, the less mistakes we can make. Right now the wind's blowing just like this. It's going right up there. So right now we got to exercise a lot of patience. Without the wind in our favor, you don't have a chance of getting up on this bull. Not a chance. He'll win you every time. Let's eat before we go. Sit on the ground here, grab our lunch. Let's go play the game.
Let's do it.
See if we can find him. You said we're 1.5 miles from the top? That's a long ways in this country, 1.5 miles. I don't like going up on them like this. Not my favorite thing to do. But I've hunted this top up here. And when you drop in from the top, the first 400 or 500 yards is just terrible. Blowdowns, 5 feet thick.
Yeah. So he'd hear us long before we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see all them trails coming down back there? Yeah. So what do you want, young and stupid or old and tough?
Oh, you mean old and tough?
Old smart bull, a big herd bull?
Yeah. Oh, you're saying bulls?
Yeah, bull. Do you want an
I was
old
talking-
smart
I was
bull, or
talking
you want to
guys.
kill an old smart bull, or you want to just shoot the young dumb one?
You put me on whatever you want.
Don't matter, does it?
Not much. Nope.
After a few cold early mornings and late nights, blisters, blood, and burning lungs, and no critters in striking distance, all the hunting videos, how-to articles, and visions of a trophy of a lifetime get tossed from your mind quicker than a bloody bear hide placed on the back of a rank mule. 'Cause only when it's your boots on the mountain and the bow is in your hands does it get real. Any preconceived notions up to that point become a handicap. If you're a hunter, go hunt. Experience it for yourself. Play the game and savor every moment of it.
You know what the hardest thing is is knowing it's going to come to an end. Knowing that you're going to get old. I think that's what drives me to stay in shape and, you know, not get heavy. It's hard when you get in your middle 60s, and, you know, because relaxing's easy. Sitting around watching TV and eating mama's food cooking, and, you know, she can cook too. But that's the hardest thing, is knowing that someday this is going to end. But I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it to end. Not now. Not yet. Not as long as I can hike up these hills with you two guys. That shelf should protect us from the wind carrying up this hill, and the wind's coming, you know, right to left right now. So let's go over here, and it's really getting elky in here. Let's skirt this hill a little bit and see if we can light this bull up. The older you get, the more you appreciate your family. You know, it's kind of crazy. Take them for granted when you know, for a lot of years. But then, when life starts shortening its path, you know, when you know, life starts going like this. When you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, you really start appreciating your family, your time at home, and stuff like that. So I'm so lucky to be up here and have such a supportive family. My wife and kids, and, you know, they're all like, yeah, go Dad, go. Without that, I couldn't do this. There's no way. In fact, the guy that I bought this from, when he met my wife and my daughter and me and saw how we were going to be together as a team, he came to me and he said, you know, you see this? I said, yeah, and he said, I never had that up there. He said, I had to do it alone. My wife, I've been married for 41 years to Debbie, and it's been just the greatest thing. She's a wonderful woman. She has the hugest heart. She believes in me, 100%, believes in us. How do we do it? Well, we trust each other. We trust each other 100%. You know, I come up here to work and do this stuff, and Debbie's at home with the family. There's a support group there. So that's really important for outfitters, because we are gone for so many days and days and days, and this is a kind of a scary job. I mean, you guys have both, you know, people have been riding with me for the last few days are like, I can't believe I'm on a horse standing on a 6-inch ledge riding up above a river that's, if I fall off of here, I mean, when you're getting ready to ride up one of them hills, and the guy looks back and he says, hey, keep your toes in the stirrups, and if the horse rolls down the mountain, jump off on the left side. When you say that to somebody, I don't even give them time to think about it, you know. I just say, hey, right here when we're going up this hill, this is what I need you to do, and this is where I need your head to be. Debbie understands that. This is a tough job. She understands. She's got to have something there that's just giving her that, hey, he's always going to come back, you know. He's one of them guys. He's always going to get up out of that water, kick that horse, reach up and grab that ring, grab that piece of leather, and get pulled out of the river. He's that guy. And she knows that. She's known it since she met me. I protect her in any way, shape, or form. I will protect any of my friends in any way, shape, or form. That's just who I am. It's real important for me, and has been for all these years. I don't know how I could do this without her. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. You know, I wouldn't do it, period. Let's give it a rest here. We're definitely high enough to jump that ball. We're high enough. You think you want to hear it? Dennis became a Christian on March 28th, 1988. Went out on an all-nighter, got drunk. And I woke up, I was ashamed of myself. I didn't know what town I was in. My wife thought I was with another woman, which I wasn't. But I was in a parking lot and didn't even know what town I was in.
And I was ashamed of myself. My truck was broke. I couldn't even drive it. I got up and called a friend of mine. He came, got me. I had to walk to a payphone. He called Debbie, told her that I was okay, and then I said, hey, I'm not with the woman. My truck broke down. I'm going to get it fixed, and I'll talk to you later. So anyway, she's like, okay, thanks for calling. And she was going to work, and I was just ashamed of myself for disrespecting my wife, first off, because she was home alone. And I was out all night. I mean, what would I do if she'd have done that, you know? Would have thought the worst. She's with a man, and why would she think different of me? So I was really ashamed of myself, and I got in my pickup, and I was driving down the road, and there was an empty case of beer on the floor. And I just smelled, you know, like bar room filth. And I remember crying, and I just started praying. I was like, wow, you know, I really need to change. I don't want to lose my wife. And I pulled over at this church, a big church. And I walked right in the middle, right through the front doors. And it's going on, man. They got music, and there's 2 or 3 preachers standing up there, you know, it's a big church. And I walk right up to the front, and I sit down right in the front, and the preacher comes out, and he starts doing his Sunday morning talk, and I don't take my eyes off him. And there's guys in there watching me. They're like, man, we need to watch this guy, man. He looks a little... So the service gets over, and I'm sitting there by myself, and there's like 4 guys sitting there with this preacher standing in the center of them. And everybody in the congregation leaves, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just crying. And I was upset. And I stand up and I walk up to this preacher. His name was Bob. And he goes, what can I do for you? And I said, well, you can answer me a question. He goes, all right, what is it? I said, where is he? The guy grabs me like that, and he goes, where is he? Well, I'll tell you where he is, buddy. He's closer to you than I am to you right now. And I go, that's all I want to know. He goes, Christian? I go, yeah. He goes, all right, let's go on me. I turn around, walk out the church. Walked out the church. I became a Christian when I was 13 with my little brother. We gave our lives to Christ. But this was renewed faith. So I sat down at home and asked Jesus to clean me and come back into my life, and I knew I believed in him. And I looked in the mirror, and I didn't know who I was. I didn't even know who I was. I was a hollow man treating this woman that I loved with disrespect. And I went over and I picked up the phone. I called my wife. I said, Debbie, yep. I said, you need to get on a plane and come to me right now. Right now. She goes, all right. Just like that. I said, all right. So I said, if you don't get on a plane right now and come to me, we're not going to make it. We need to be together. We're husband and wife. We need to be together. We're not going to make it. So she did. She got on a plane, quit her job, came to where I was, and we started our life over. And it was a few months after that she became a Christian, and we started changing our lifestyle. It still was hard. You know, it's so ingrained with you. You know, I was just in the way I was raised, you know. Something needed to change. So I changed. And so that's why I tell you, it was because of my wife that I changed, because I loved her so much, you know. And she changed me. Yep.
We just got ready in a hurry. Dennis just got done telling his testimony, lit off a bugle, and we got a bugle back. So we're gonna blitz up the side of this mountain and go kill him.
That bull's a long ways off. Not that far though, but he's a ways off. Yeah, if he's up on the top, he's in them benches up there. I gotta get him to come down here. This wind is all over the place right now. Different bull. It's either a different bull or that bull moved from there to there. Now, critical, dangerous time right now. Because our scent's blown right at him. We're far enough away still that he's not going to scent us. But if he gets close, we're going to have to go up the hill. When you guys go up the hill, if he gets close, try not to breathe out of your mouth, because he'll smell you. Feel that. It's like bad breath. He'll smell that, so try to breathe through your nose. Until you get past this line right here. Here he is here. He's up here. I think he's like this angle right now. He's coming down that ridge. And we got to go like this. When we get like this, if he comes down here below us, then we'll cut him off. There's no way we can kill him. If he comes in here at us, he's got to go down like that and then come around us. He definitely moved. I mean, he was straight up that hill. It's either a different bull. So now you got to really be careful. We need to know right where he's at. We got about 150 yards. We can go across this clearing right here. I hope he keeps working his way down. Yeah, I think he's coming in. You gotta take your bow off. Ooh. Hey. Well, that sounded like a nice bull. Really nice bull. Hear him chuckling?
Yeah. He
sounds
close.
Yeah.
He was close.
Yep. Yeah, the wind ain't doing us no favors. We can't keep chasing him. If we chase him, we'll blow him out of this whole canyon right here. Boy, he ain't that far away.
Still in the game. He's still here. Come on. He's coming. I see him. I see him.
Did you see him?
He did.
Well, we're gonna go try one more thing. We're gonna run out of daylight here pretty soon. He's just standing in the same spot.
Yeah, he keeps like wanting us to come up the hill too.
Well, we're gonna give him what he wants. Sometimes if you push him, he's a big bull. He's a herd bull. I know he is. Sometimes if you push him too hard, he'll blow out of here. But this bull's not blowing out of here. This is his territory. He's not leaving. Let's go down and give him one more little try and see how he acts.
All right.
That's it. Now let's bug out, boys. That was fun. Oh, yeah.
Ready?
So that night we went down the mountain, we got on the horses in the dark. I had rarely rode a horse before this week, let alone ride a horse in the mountains above a river in pitch black. That was a new level of intimidation and fear. But that was gonna be one of the greatest moments of the trip for me, as simple as it sounds, to just trust the horses, let them do their job, and let them carry us out safe.
After 25 years, when I look back at all the hunts that I've guided, I don't remember a single score. I don't remember how many times we shot. I remember how heavy some of the packs were, but what I remember most of each individual hunt is something that at the time, a specific thing or things that at the time seemed insignificant. Those memories might just be a conversation or just some animal doing something, or a sunrise or an airplane ride, or whatever it was. And I just want to encourage anybody out there that's interested in experiencing Alaska. It is a place to go with no agenda. It's a place to just go because you can no longer stand the thought of having not at least tried. When you get to that point where the fear of failure or not getting something is dwarfed by the fear of never realizing your dream, you're ready. You're ready to experience the wilderness, to be immersed in it and receive whatever it is. That's when the life-changing aspect of being in the wilderness is going to take place. When you want to go there, experience it, win, lose, or draw, I guarantee you will not regret that you went and experienced Alaska for yourself.
So I didn't know it at the time, but I was going to be nearing the end of my insurance career. And I remember one day I was looking at a Facebook post that popped up. I followed this guy named Billy Molls and his channel called Modern Day Mountain Man, and you know, I had seen some of his content. There's a post. It was asking for someone that was a videographer, an editor, someone to do some business stuff. Just kind of a lot of miscellaneous pieces that he was looking for, and about 85% of those things I was not qualified to do. But I had always dreamed of being in the outdoor industry, working for somebody or doing something that involved hunting. You know, hunting is my passion. It's what I've been passionate about since that fire was lit in me when I was 12 years old. And so his post intrigued me, and I was like, I'm not qualified to do any of this. But it'd be really cool if I could, and how to do that. And so in the meantime, I remember sending that post off to my best friend Jeremiah, because he is extremely qualified to do all of those things. And so I thought, well, second best case, if I can't do it, he might as well do it. And I knew he wasn't in a place in his life that he could jump into that role. But he loves hunting. He's passionate about hunting, and I thought, well, if nothing else, maybe he can kick it around, see if there's some way he can weasel that into his life. And of course, as soon as he said it, he'd be like, oh, that's so cool, but no. And so that was that. But I looked at that post for 3 days and just looked at it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I finally, after 3 days, I showed my wife and I said, what do you think? Like, I know I'm not, I know I'm not qualified to do this, but like, it would be the most wild thing, and the most, like, I would want to do nothing else but this. And she goes, well, if that's something you want to do, then go get it. And so it specifically asked for a resume, and I put my resume together. I hadn't done that in quite some time, and I looked at my resume and I thought, resume, job posting. There's nothing here that does that. But I spun it in a way that at least connected some of the dots. And then on top of that, I wrote a letter. I wrote probably at least a page and a half letter saying, okay, you looked over my resume, and right now it's screaming in your ears that like this guy has nothing that I want, but like here's what I believe that I can bring to the table that I believe would help you to accomplish some of these things. And also, with this farm boy upbringing, there's not much in this world that I can't do or that I can't learn. I thought, we'll just see what happens. Worst case, he can throw it in the garbage and I'm not owed anything, he's not owed anything. So the man calls me and he says, what are you doing for lunch on Wednesday? And I thought, holy cows. Billy Molls called me, first of all. And second of all, like there's enough interest there that he wants to have lunch with me. Don't know why, but I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to have lunch with a legend. And so I thought, sure, lunch sounds great, let's do it. Through lunch, through the conversation, there was at one point I said, I might be bold in saying this, but I said, I don't think you know what you're after as far as an employee. Like, this is your first employee? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't think you truly know what you're after here. And he goes, yeah, I have no idea. He's like, this is the first guy I've ever hired to do any of this in my life. He's like, I don't know the extent of what all I have in store for them to do, but he's like, I know I need somebody. I'm growing. I know I'm gonna grow. And there's a lot of different things, administratively, business-wise, videography, editing, you name it, that like I'm gonna need somebody. And I'm like, so basically you're gonna need someone that's a jack of all trades, can do a little of everything and wear many hats. He said, yeah. And then I saw it click, like the light switch clicked in his head, and it was like, now my resume that made no sense to the job posting meshed perfectly. It was like this, like, holy buckets. Like, I don't need someone that can do one thing. I need someone that can do a lot of things. He's like, would it offend you if I had you like do some painting or mow a lawn or build a log cabin or run a camera? Or I'm like, dude, you sign me up. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm the jack of all trades. I can do it all. Yeah. And if there's something I can't learn, if I don't know, I will find a way and I will learn it to the best of my abilities. And he says, well, all right. He says, go home, talk to your wife, think about it, pray about it. And he's like, call me when you have some answers. And I hate that. Gosh, I hate that. I hate talking numbers and telling my potential employer what I want out of this. And so I did, and I, again, I was making some pretty good money for me and my amount of schooling, and talked about it and I prayed about it, and my wife and I figured out what we could do financially, because he's not a huge, Modern Day Mountain Man is not a huge corporation, a huge company that has endless funding. And this is his first guy, so I thought, I don't know what to ask for. I don't know what's appropriate. So we were comfortable chopping my wage in about half compared to what I was making, because we could swing it. We didn't want to burden Billy with a huge bill, and we just wanted to help. I think we can help grow the business. I think we can, and I wanted, I wanted it. That was a dream, is to work in that space. So I threw him that number and nervously, and I said, we can work with that. If it doesn't work for you, we can work with that. And he laughed. Billy laughed at me when I chuckled when I threw him that number, and he says, oh, Chris, he says, we can more than work with that number. He's like, and he came back with a number that was higher than my expectations, and he said, let's do it. You start on June 1st, and we're gonna take the first summer and we're gonna build a log cabin together. And I remember after that phone call, I sobbed. I sobbed at my desk. There was literally a puddle of tears on my office desk. Just tears of disbelief and joy, and this is a unicorn job that doesn't exist. And if it does, somebody else has it, just not you.
Oh, there's some bulls. We always hear bulls up on top of this mountain here, so we're gonna go around the backside and then walk in a mile or so and sit and do some listening. And there's always, they'd come down from up here on top of one mountain and go through the saddle and come up on the other mountain. So we'll just go kick it up there for a couple of hours and see what we can see.
Once a guide hits a certain age, he starts to regress back to childhood.
If you only knew. Yeah. You ready, girls?
That night there was a lot of teaching going on. There was a lot of questions that just naturally came up. What is this? Tell me about this. Why are the elk here? Tell me about your call, your bugle. Tell me what it is to be an elk hunter. I want to learn all the things about elk hunting. And Dennis just naturally, I was inquisitive that night at the same time as he was wanting to teach that night. So it was perfect. I'm glad I didn't follow Dennis in his 40s, because I'm pretty sure we would have been left in the dust, way in the dust. The 66-year-old guy, he ran us pretty ragged up and down those mountains. there was one point that Dennis turns around and looks at us and he says, "You boys want to know why most people can't do it here?"
So I'll show you what it's going to be like. And I'll show you why most people can't make it. Ready?
Let's do it. And he takes off like a 66-year-old squirrel across these wind-blown deadfalls on this side hill in the mountains, and he's just like a hurdler on a track, just careening over these things, clambering around, balancing on these trees, and we look at it, Jeremiah and I look at each other and we're like, buckle up, this is gonna be interesting. And we pursued him as hard as we could, but like, that old boy's impressive. He's impressive. He's been on this playground a long time, and it shows. His age doesn't show. His experience shows.
These elk are funny because, you know, they don't always bugle in the distance. Sometimes they'll let you get right on top of them. And then you'll be going through here like this, thinking, well, I bugled here, I bugled there, I bugled here. Nothing, nothing, nothing. But some of these bulls, they just won't bugle. For whatever reason, I don't know. But you get back in here and you get right on top of them, and all of a sudden, about 70 yards away, one will just scream his guts out, and you'll think, where the hell did he come from? Why didn't you bugle and let us know? But no.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of sign in here. I'm impressed. They've been in here. Our herd came through here, pretty good herd.
And so we got to this point, and we sat down and we were talking about the elk, and we were talking about what they're doing and where they're doing and why they're doing it. And then, I mean, we were far from whispering. You know, we just went there to try to locate a bull that night. You know, I'll call it a casual hunt. I mean, yes, anything can happen, but I don't think I didn't go into, you know, the mindset of, we're gonna go kill a bull tonight. It was more of a, like, let's go learn tonight, let's go try to locate one for tomorrow. So why did you pick this exact spot to outfit? You could have been anywhere in Idaho, anywhere in Washington, anywhere.
I didn't pick this spot. It just happened.
Just happened.
Yeah. Yeah, because outfitting areas, you know, don't come up for sale that often, and when they do, they're expensive.
Yeah.
So I didn't pick this location. It picked me. The guy that used to have this outfitting business lost his eyesight from a bungee cord accident. Went up through his nose and cut the back of his eye off. Blinded him. So it came up for sale, and I bought it. Elk hunting's elk hunting. If you're an elk hunter, you look down into this canyon, it goes straight down from here, really thick on the other side, huge dark timber right there, plenty of water. There's no lake up here. This water comes right out of the glacier, right out of the ground. You know, they got natural salt licks in here, plenty of food, escape routes. It's just a choke. It's a choke like this. And it's got a rock face down there that's just straight up and down. So they either got to go out this way and up, or around that rock face and up that draw over there, or they ain't going out. The bottom down here is just a old glacial river bottom. It's just full of big, huge rocks, and the elk won't go through it. And the other side is straight up cliff. So if they go down, they hit that cliff, they got to go right or left. So they come across, you've seen all the tracks, they come across these hillsides here. So we gambled yesterday, and you know, it almost paid off. We got the elk come in right at us. He came in right at us from at first. And then to be protective, he went high. He went shoo, 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 shoo. He got above us. And because of the wind, we couldn't get above him, so he won the day, man, you know. Yep. But he's gonna make a mistake tomorrow, and we're gonna shoot him.
The greatest opportunities in life are like 400-inch bulls. If you're lucky enough to see one, chances are he won't be there for long. Sometimes all you can do is sit there and admire him from afar. But occasionally, they step out in the valley before you, and you can't think about it. You gotta drop your pack and go after it with reckless abandon. Hunting is a game with our opponent always having home field advantage. And a trick play is most effective with the element of surprise.
I see an elk. I see an elk.
Don't grab me. You better get your bow out.
I can see tines.
Pull your sleeves down over your arms. It's a bull elk. He's walking right towards us. I know. It's a bull elk. I know. Did you really make some noise or something? Stay calm. Stay calm. Yep. I see him. He's walking up towards us. Slow, slow. I see him, I see him, I see him. Don't move. Tell your buddy not to move. Tell him to quit moving his head. Don't move. I see him. Yep. You see him?
Yep, I see his left.
Yep, I see him. Yep.
I need a range.
30 yards, maybe 40. You got your arrow knocked.
Arrow is not. Yes.
Got your release on. Try to pull your sleeves. Yeah.
I can't. If you can, go for it.
You see him?
I see.
Yep, I see him.
Okay, he's looking to the left. He's coming up.
Okay, he's gonna come out.
Yep, I see him.
Do you see him?
No, not yet.
Oh, there he is to your left. He turned. He's looking right at us. He's going back down. He's smelling our tracks.
He's looking our way. He's gonna bail off the end. You see him? Yeah, I see him. There's an open hillside down here. Right around the bottom there where it drops off like that. He might be right on the other side of that feeding. Let's go up through here and poke our head out right there and just see if we can catch him feeding on it. I don't think he knows we're here, but I seen him with his head down sniffing our footprints. He went like that and then he spun around and he went like this. I can see why you play this game, Dennis.
I told you, funnel spot. What a deal that was, huh? Wow. Good eyes. Well, you guys heard him first.
Yeah, Jeremiah heard him.
Yeah. We were too busy talking. If we'd have sat right here, that was my plan, was to come over here and sit right here. He'd have walked right up on us. It was his lucky day. I think he turned and went that way. But most of the time they come up out of these bottoms and they come up and feed up. But he woofed our tracks.
I mean, he was sub 50. I had a tree baked out at 43 yards.
Yeah.
He's just on the other side of that. But
Let's get out of here before we get started.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's a story as old as time. Strangely, it's the missteps, mishaps, and our own insufficiency that bonds us with our teammates and compels us to come back and play again.
hey, Dennis,
What?
I gotta tell you something.
Yeah? You're not gonna kiss or hug me, are you?
Probably about. Well, I don't know. I've been alone in the Idaho wilderness for about a week, so it might happen.
What's up?
Probably about 300 yards back.
Yeah?
I looked at the cameraman. He looked at me, and you're going this way down the hill. Can't see what's in front of us, and we're shaking our heads at each other.
Oh.
And we're pointing up to the top of that ridge.
Uh-oh.
And we're like,
He don't know where he's
where
going.
the hell is he going? And I mean, it would just like, we both felt it, like this is the wrong way.
Yeah.
And we got about 50 yards further.
And you saw the road.
And I look down and I see that corner of the road and I'm like, how does that old goat know what he's doing?
Because I've been up this hill 100 times, man.
Trust the guide, man.
Oh yeah, trust the guide.
This isn't the only moment this week either.
Oh my gosh.
There's been a lot of moments this
Where
whole
you-
week where I'm like, I don't know. Like this, like my hunter brain is like, I don't know. I
Hey.
don't think I would do that.
Hey, I'm telling you, I've
like-
had guys quit up here right behind me, just going down through these mountains. We shot an elk. We went down to get it. I've had guys go, where are you going? I go going down and look for that bull. No. What do you mean you're going down to look for the bull? We're going down here. Your partner shot a bull yesterday. We're going down here to look for it. No. No, you don't know where you're going. You're going down through the brush. I'm not going. Well, you see the horses on the hill up there? Yeah? Well, go sit on one of them and wait for us. Just, geez. And this would be a young guy. No, 29, 30 years
Yeah.
old. Oh, no, I'm not going. You're on a wild goose chase. Turn around, go right back for the horse. Didn't want nothing to do with it. It's intimidating. No, thanks, man. Yeah, but I spend my lifetime in these mountains, and yeah.
You're a wizard.
Oh, I'm just a hunting guide. Thank you, though. Yep. God dang, I feel great. I feel like I could climb that frickin' Mount Everest, man.
Maybe you should. Got plenty of years left.
That's right. I wouldn't climb that ice cube for all the money in China. No way. I watch them guys do that, and I'm like, what for? Are they killing elk up there? Nope. Yeah, that was a good one, guys, huh?
Yeah.
I see a deer. Maybe I see an elk. Maybe a deer. I just look over your shoulder and I see that elk. I mean, he's just.
Yeah, I saw
can
those
see
tines
everything
towering
but
up.
his head. I see all his tines and his ears, but I can't see his eyes, which was perfect. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a bull. And then you just go nuts. You're just.
Well, I got like 20 things to do here before he comes up.
Calm down, man. He could have came up 100 different places. He came right to us. He came to the call. And what amazes me is, and it's happened to me before, but we're sitting there talking.
Oh yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, I'm
babbling
telling
on,
you.
on.
Oh yeah, they all come up, this is a funnel. And you look down and go, yeah, there's one there. And you guys say, well, I heard something. I'm like, yeah, here we go, couple rookies. I heard something.
No,
I heard a thump. He goes, I heard a thump. And then he goes like this, he goes like this, he goes, Dennis. He pinches me, and I go, don't pinch me. And he's like, I see an elk, or a deer. No, he goes, a deer. No, it's an elk. And he's got a hold of my shirt. I go, let go of my shirt. I said, you better get that bow out. Whatever it is, you better get your bow out. One thing I've learned, expect the unexpected. Oh, we didn't even get to sit in camp last night and talk about what a great day we had yesterday. Now we got another one.
Now we got another one. Another adventure, another story.
Oh man, just can't pick a bad hole. You know what? This is one of those classic. We went out for the afternoon, left at 4 o'clock, shot a bull. Yeah, we're back at the truck. Yeah, that was close. Gatorade.
Thanks, boss.
I should have had these a couple days before, but I didn't know if I was going to like you guys or not. So. Patrick Haynes, or whatever his name is. Hey.
It's a great week, man.
How important is it to trust your guide? I think when you say that, you conjure up these images of, well, he can see elk real good. He can see deer real good. I trust him with that I'm going to get on an animal. And I don't think that's what we're talking about. Trusting your guide means that you're going to come home, that you're going to walk out of the timber, because this place is intimidating. And you know, one of the worst things you can do if you're with a guide is to get in his ear. Start saying, oh, I think we should go this way, or I think we should go that way. And, you know, that can actually drive a guide crazy. Trusting your guide means trusting him. If he says the truck is that way, the truck is that way. Don't try to go, no, the truck's over here. That's trusting your guide. Does he know his horses? Does he know that these horses can walk up this hill and not act up? Trusting your guide is everything. Let him make the decisions about where you go and what you do, and listen to what his suggestions are. Most of these guys have spent their lifetime in the mountains, and they're getting trained by us, and they know what they're doing. They know, they've studied the maps, they spend their life working in the mountains, and they get it. Beyond everything else of getting that big bull down in there, my job's to bring the client home safe. And if that means not getting that big elk that I saw on the other side of that big canyon, it means not getting that elk. It means I'm telling you, we're not going after that bull because of A, B, and C. That's trusting your guide.
You're in the back of my truck. We'll probably go at a steady pace for about a mile, mile and a half. Because I think to a clearing, we'll do a little glassing and calling, and with this sun coming up, and let's see what comes out.
The title and image of a leader sure looks attractive when you don't have it. But the alpha wolf doesn't live for himself. He lives in service of the pack. As Jesus said, the greatest among you is the servant of all. As an outfitter, Dennis had a difficult decision to make. The other hunters in camp had hiked many miles throughout the week, with no close encounters to show for it. With customer satisfaction and wilderness experience a priority for all parties, he decided he would take the other party out on horseback the final day. Which meant Chris wouldn't get another chance to go back after the bulls they'd encountered the previous days. Was he disappointed? Yes. But roadblocks lead to detours, and detours lead to fresh perspectives that often set the course for the rest of our lives.
I like this. You like it? Oh yeah. We got so many faces to look at. Yeah. Lazy boy at its finest. I'm Adam Reimer. I'm a guide for Bitterroot Mountain Outfitters, Dennis, Brookshire, and I've been working for him since May 1st of this year. I met Dennis at a sportsman show. Went up to him and just asked him, "Hey, how's your season?" And we just kind of got talking off of that, and I said, "Well, I've done a little bit of research, and I think I kind of want to be a guide." So he hired me, took me on, and he's taught me a ton. I'm super grateful to him for that, and appreciate every bit of knowledge and every bit of time that he's given me. Dennis giving me this opportunity means that a dream came true, something I never thought possible. I just thought it was too good to be true. Dennis has been really a father figure to me, teaching me things that my dad didn't have time to teach me. We weren't in the space to work a chainsaw, ride horses, ride side by sides with snow tracks on them. I just didn't grow up in that space, and Dennis has taught me that, and I'm really grateful for that. A challenging part about being a first-year guide is that you got some people who kind of look at you and go, "What are you doing here?" And and I say, "Well, I'm here to get you an animal, and I'm here to help you enjoy this, what I believe is creation, and just the beauty of it, the glory and majesty of it, and all its wonders." Hey, I got it.
Bison, but like these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that bison's good.
We've got kind of a C-shaped ridge here that we're gonna go walk. So we've got our first drainage here, first draw drainage. We're gonna go bugle in that, and there's a whole bunch of different drainages. So we'll just walk this ridge, and we're gonna bugle hard. We're gonna keep our eyes really sharp and see if anything pops up. Last day. Let's see what we can do.
Better put our rally caps on.
All right, rally cap.
Last day, baby.
Look out. Let's get her done. the Bible talks about pursuing the treasure that God has stored up for us. And when I'm out here pursuing game, pursuing the bull elk, that scream and bugle that is so amazing and so attractive, I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to just understand what it means to see an open door, and that takes time. But the cool thing is that it involves you, because God's interested in your passions. He's interested in who you are as a person. He wants to know your goals because he made you. In fact, he knows your goals. He knows your interests. I never thought this job was possible for me. I dreamed of it. Sometimes I was so focused on electrical, on my goal of becoming a journeyman in electrical work, that I just thought, hey, I'm not doing anything else. I'm just doing my journeyman thing. Well, I think God opened up my mind a little bit and helped me to see a bigger picture of somewhere that he could use me, that I would be thrilled to be in. And it's been awesome. Knowing that God is interested in who you are and what you want in life is so important, and it is so amazing to think that God is like that. Archery for me was something that kept me going as I went through school and struggled. And what I liked about it was that I had to have everything in perfect order to hit the bullseye. Archery is it's about accuracy, but before you have accuracy, you have to have consistency, is something I like to say. And because if you don't have consistency, you can't hit the same spot over and over again. But when you have consistency, you can move the sights and the rest and the cams and the string into alignment with where your technique is, and so that you can hit that target. And just the joy of watching that arrow fly and raise up above the sight and then drop right into the circle or square, whatever I was aiming for. As I go about life, sometimes I go back to archery and it's just something fun I do. But it's amazing to me how God can take something so small and turn it into something I never thought was possible. He wants you to have something to glorify him. It's what we're all here for, like it or not. So whatever you're good at, whatever you like doing, try and share it with someone. Just like my buddy did for me, just like Dennis Stevens did for me. He gave me something that I will hold on to probably for the rest of my life, and that I look back on with joy, but look forward to wondering what will happen next, and hoping, praying for a bigger animal, bigger antlers, but also knowing that God's got a plan in everything I do, and that he can use me in some way, big or small. So know that God wants you, and he's got a plan for you. Big or small, it'll impact his kingdom, and that will be something that soars higher than just hitting the bullseye on a target.
I relate a lot to Doubting Thomas. That's me. Like, it's always like, you know, I'm very analytical brained, and like, you know, I like things to make sense. I like to touch and feel tangible, real things for it to make sense in my head. And so like, yes, there's this book full of words, and like, I hear them, I see them, some of it makes sense, a lot of it doesn't make sense to me, but like, you know, I'm not crazy strong in my faith. I'm not deeply rooted. I'm a new believer, if you will. And so I started my journey at Modern Day Mountain Man with Billy Molls. It was the most surreal thing. It was the most surreal thing. And so we went through it, and I got to guide. I got to be a whitetail guide with him last year in his deer camp. You know, I had wanted to be a guide when I was a kid, you know, a 17-year-old kid, and like here I am guiding hunters, like guiding whitetail hunters in the Wisconsin woods. This past spring, Billy says, "Hey, you ever been to Canada?" I said, "No, I don't even have a passport. I've never been to Canada in my life." He goes, "Well, we're gonna go up there. I got a speaking event up there in Alberta, Canada. The guy, you know, there's a guy named Clark that reached out to me, and we're gonna go speak at his church." And he's like, "I just want to have you up there, and you're gonna run a camera." He's like, "We're gonna go coyote and mountain lion hunting." And I thought, like, this is just a dream. This is just like a dream. We're gonna go hunting. This is part of my work now.
I can't believe this is my job.
So I got that passport coming, and we flew up to Alberta and met Clark and his family. This little remote, middle of nowhere ranch. There's not even sticks there. I mean, there's plains, whatever. Middle of nowhere. And after a couple of days of being up there with Clark and his family and hunting, and he says, "Hey, you got a guy that I want you to meet. His name is Corey." Corey's this old rancher. He's probably about, I don't know, 60 years old or so. So we went over to Corey's ranch, and we ended up going and talking to Corey in his barn. He invited us into his barn, and there's this little dusty old milk house. We went and set up shop. You know, we had a few chairs sitting in there, and I was gonna, you know, we were just gonna kind of talk to Corey and to Clark, and you know, just have Billy just kind of bounce some things off each other. And I was setting up a tripod to film that. And I remember before I even got sat down and turned that camera on, like I could already feel, like, I'm like, oh no, like there's something here that I need to be capturing now, whether it's set up all the way or not. Like, hit record on that thing and start recording. And for probably the next hour, or I have no idea, 2 hours, like there was this.
I think he's worshiping me. If I let him, he'll come to me.
He's pursuing you.
He's pursuing me, yeah. I guess that's what would be the word.
Yeah.
All right. I don't need to pursue him as much. I think I have to be still and let him pursue me.
The Holy Spirit entered that barn, and I don't even know what was said between those ranchers and Billy. I can't remember. I filmed it. I'll watch it someday. But I felt this presence, this overwhelming just presence of the Holy Spirit just following in that room. I don't even think I like reacted in that moment. I just felt it, right? So we shook hands with Corey and left and went on with the remainder of the week, hunting coyotes up in Alberta, Canada, and mountain lions, and we went home. And after I got home, my wife asked, "How was the trip?" And for the next 3 days, I couldn't answer my wife. I couldn't tell her. I couldn't explain what happened in that barn. But the Holy Spirit grabbed onto me. And I just sobbed. I sobbed for the next 3 days. Just, there was nothing that triggered it. It was just emotion just came over me. And I felt this like peace and this blessing, this sense of blessing and God's goodness. And shortly after that, I put the pieces together. You see, I had been this Christian, you know, lightly, I'll use that term very lightly, for most of my whole life. But yet, through all of life, I felt God chasing me, like He was chasing me, and He was pursuing me, and I felt that, I could feel that, I could see that. I could see the blessings, I could see the hardships that He got me through. I could see how He worked through situations through my entire life. And yet, yes, I might acknowledge Him in those moments, but then it would just fizzle. I would let it fizzle. I wouldn't do anything in return. I wouldn't pursue Him back, and I would continue to run. And just like this week with Dennis, up in the Bitterroot Mountains, he took out his call and he'd bugle, and then he would do a grunt, and he would do a cow mew. He was going through these calls because he was calling out to this bull elk, trying to choose the right call to bring them in. God had been trying. Through my life, trying a different call to see if I'd come into that one. Nope, that one didn't work. He tried a different call, that one didn't work. And so what he did is he thought, well, fine, I'm gonna give him the desires of his heart. Because as a father myself, I want to give my sons the desires of their heart. I love them. I want them to be happy. I want to bless them with what I can bless them with to the best of my abilities. And God's a much bigger Father and a bigger God, bigger Father than I am, and has a lot more things that He can give than I can ever give. And so he thought, I'm going to try one more call. And he thought, I'm going to give Chris the desires of his heart. And I know that Chris's passion in this world is hunting and the outdoors, and nope, he's not qualified to do what Billy asks. You know, he's not qualified to do any of that. But I'm gonna make it work in his favor, and I'm gonna give him the desires of his heart, and now hunting gets to be his every day. That's what he gets to do for a living. That's what I get to do this week. And so he threw out that last call, and he gave me my dream job. And he did it not just to please me, but he did it so that I would get to Canada, and I would go into this rancher's dusty old barn and feel the presence of the Holy Spirit, so that I could feel that tangible, real feeling that I need, because I'm like Thomas, I need to see the holes in his hands. For me to know that it's real, really real. And now, instead of this Christian, now I know what it is to be a Jesus follower. Instead of just giving me the desires of my heart and opening my eyes to him and who he is and feeling him, he says, well, now I'm going to use you. I'm going to use you to further my kingdom, and I'm going to use the tools and that jack of all trades set of skills that I gave you. He gave me all those things. They're gifts. I didn't learn those on my own. There were opportunities through the life that he gave me that orchestrated, through this winding path of all these different hats that I've worn so that I could wear all the hats that Billy needed me to wear. And after I realized that, I told my wife that, and I said, you'll never believe it. And I cried, and I told her, and she cried. And she says, now I'm going to tell you something. She said, when I was a little girl, she was about 10 years old, and her pastor prophesied over her. And he told her, Allison, one day, you're going to grow up, and you're going to find a husband, and your husband's going to be involved in ministry. Yep, in ministry. Well, here I am. Here I am. No, I'm not some pastor, but I'm part of the conduit for the kingdom of God. And I get to use all the things, all the gifts that God's given me to help do that through all the ways. I had a pastor prophesy the same thing over me probably 4 years ago. He said, just to let you know, Chris, I feel a calling of ministry. There's something with ministry that you're going to do with your life. And I laughed at him. I'm this insurance agent, backwoods hunter. Like, I'm not going to speak in churches. I'm not going to, you're crazy. But thank you, but no. And all that came to fruition. And this week, in the Idaho Bitterroot Mountains, my best friend and I, for our job, we got to go elk hunting and run around hiking up and down the mountains. Ride horseback under the stars. Captured Dennis's story and Adam's story. And just have the greatest adventure that I've ever been on my entire life. And I'm so incredibly thankful. God is a good Father. For anyone that thinks he's not real, I felt real. There's nothing more real. Now it's my time to pursue him and chase him the way that he's chased me my whole life. I'm blessed. So blessed.
He said, sorry, we didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Dude, we got so much more than a stupid animal. It's been the greatest adventure of my life.
That's gonna make me cry.
I'll have opportunities to go hunt and find another game and have success and have failures, but like this week was so not about that. I got to meet new friends. I got to see amazing country. I got to spend the whole week with my best friend. I got to meet Dennis and hear his shenanigans and eat George's cooking and hear your stories. You're an amazing young man, and I'm honored to know you. This isn't about an animal. This whole trip has not been about an animal. It's been an incredible adventure. I'll remember the rest of my life. Thank you for your part in it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you for your part in it.
Lots of times I ask myself, God, what can I do? My purpose can't be here to take people out and shoot 6-point bulls. It's got to be something else. Been there, done that. What can I do for you?
It doesn't matter if you're the crusty old mountain man, a rookie guide, or the flatland dude with shiny new boots. The fact of the matter is, we all gotta start somewhere. None of us have arrived in this life, and I'm beginning to see the beauty in the fact that none of us ever will. All of us are navigating the same world, and as we conform to it, we slowly die. Pursuing security, comfort, and pleasures of every kind rots our bones and suffocates our soul. God didn't create us to live for ourselves. He created us to live for Him. When we get sick and tired of our selfish desires and even our own reflection, and we repent for our sinful, evil ways and receive the gift of eternal life through the blood of Jesus Christ and wholly surrender our life to Him, He meets us right then and there. And our salvation becomes the trailhead for Him to lead us on our own personal journey. He will lead us into some spectacular places. There will be opportunities we're not qualified for and situations that make no sense. Along the way, it'll get deep, steep, and dark. But rest assured, He's right there with us to encourage us in the storms, correct us when we're being stupid, and pick us up when we fall. With Christ as our guide, the worldly quest of inches and record books, wins and losses fades, and we rediscover our love of the game.
How do you feel about mice, George?
Oh God, I'm gonna have my own trophy wall. She looks like it goes on my hat. You asked me earlier, what's my favorite part of this? Right now, playing the game.
Test 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Go left. Go left. So I set the saddle on the ground, and I go to grab his tail, and he jumps forward about 2 feet, and the saddle goes jump like a frog. Right after him. That was it, man. That appy takes off, meow, goes around starts running around the hitching post, and the saddle's like behind him. And then he just, boom, he takes off at the road, right down the road through the campground, and the saddle's like bouncing 6 feet in the air, like, boom, and he's freaking running, like, oh, now it's going to get better, because now Red's like, hey, man, where'd that horse go? Where the fuck is he doing? So then he comes running by Red, and Red takes off. Now they're both running down the road. The saddle's going to get me. Oh my gosh.
But then he leaves it in the freaking middle of the walkway.
This is George's stash.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Granddad. I'm ready to hit the rack, to tell you the truth. Now that my chest is on fire. Holy crap. That must be like cooking whiskey or something. You're not supposed to drink it.
Probably.
Jeez. That's gross.
Got the outhouse in the back.
That's a shot. Where do we dig up this camera guy?
That's impressive. I'd like to say I would have thought of that, but I don't know that I would have. Because what's that for originally?
That.
So it just... When did you figure that out?
Like 6 days ago.
Oh.
And I've owned it for 10 years.
That's pretty bad.
Napa.
Sponsor.
Show me the money.
Sponsored.
I got a plan here. There's one of my campsites is down here, and I gotta go down here and take a shit.
An elk bugle, and it goes like this. It's got a reed in the end. That's how you bugle in the big bulls. Bring them right down from the tops of the mountains, right to the river.
Do I have hair in my nose? You guys trim your hair nose? Because it gets down in your mustache. I could braid mine if I didn't cut it. Be like, Debbie's like, you need to cut your nose hair. I'm like, really? I'm hiding stuff in there. Go, bees. Don't, it's okay. Let me lead. But let's get out of here. Come on, let's get out of here. Come on. That was close, man. Oh, gosh. Did you see him? Oh, man. Just exploded. Did you see the size of that nest? Did you see it?
I thought it was like a face. Like it looked like this white, like
I was like,
diamond
wow,
shaped, you know.
Man, we'll see something cool, like some dog or something dug a hole in here. And I'm like, yeah, and then I go,
Yeah, there was like a nest just started
it
buzzing.
just exploded.
Yeah, that could have been really bad.
Yeah.
Look at me. And then I go back, I'm like, he's taking a nap. And then I come back from walking through the timber and you guys don't trust me, like, hey, throw a rock at that son. Going the wrong way, man. Don't you know the hood's down here? He's up there. Where's he going? The truck man. Who's he think he is? He's a truck guy. What's the deal? Can you smell the Dodge? You got a Dodge nose. I should just let you guys go. Go for it. Go up on top of the hill. I'll be down here. Here we go. You'd be like coming down the hill. Give me some water. Water. I didn't drink 6 ounces of water yesterday. You guys were like, man, I need some more water. I'm like, I'm getting a teaspoon out of the drippings. You guys ready? Yeah, I had more water in my crotch than I got to drink yesterday. That's a little salty. I'll tie you to the tree. You want to tie to the tree? Uh-huh. Do you? I'll tie you to the tree. They call me the horse whisperer. You'd be good.
For information on other DVDs, books, and modern-day mountain man apparel, log on to BillyMollsAdventures.com. Here you'll also find information on Alaskan hunting opportunities with Billy for Dall sheep, caribou, moose, brown bear, grizzly bear, as well as white-tailed deer hunting in Wisconsin. When he's not guiding, Billy travels across the country as a public speaker. His experience, knowledge, and passion for nature, along with his unmatched ability to relate his wilderness adventures to any audience, are the cornerstones of his dynamic, one-of-a-kind presentations. A master storyteller, Billy presents at corporate events, schools, universities, conservation organizations, wild game dinners, Christian outreaches, and much more. Just like the Alaskan wilderness, no one leaves a Billy Molls presentation the same person as they enter it. Log on or call for more information.